Today is Friday, January 16th, 2026. Welcome to This Week in Natural Refrigerants News, where we recap the top stories on naturalrefrigerants.com. This podcast is generated and read by artificial intelligence and may contain pronunciation errors. We're your hosts, AT and MO, and the articles for today's podcast were organized by naturalrefrigerants.com's managing editor and written by its writers. You can find links to each article in the show notes.
Okay, so the biggest story shaking things up in the EU this week has to be about the new drinking water directive.
It's a huge deal. As of January 12th, mandatory PFAS monitoring is officially in effect.
And that creates this sort of dual limit situation, right?
Exactly. Member states have a choice. Either they need a limit of 0.5 micrograms per liter for what's called PFAS total, and that includes TFA from HFOs like 1234F.
Oh.
Or they have to meet a much, much stricter limit of 0.1 micrograms for a specific list of 20 PFAS.
And that's where things are already getting a bit messy because 7 member states, big ones like Germany and the Netherlands, they've already said they're not enforcing the PFAS total limit. Right, and you can see why. I mean, Germany's own health guideline for TFA is 60 micrograms per liter.
60. So that's more than 100 times higher than the EU's total limit. It's a massive conflict.
It creates huge uncertainty. It's why the EU's own guidance is already suggesting, maybe monitor TFA separately because there are such high concentrations in raw water. The WHO is still assessing it too, so this is all very much in flux.
Okay, so while that's all happening, one thing did get settled: Malta.
Yes. Malta finally ratified the Kigali Amendment.
Which is significant because
it completes the set. That's the last piece of the puzzle.
Right.
All 27 EU countries are now officially on board with the global HFC phase down.
Good. So let's switch gears a bit to technology and investments. There was some really interesting news from a British startup, Hot Green Solutions.
Yeah, they secured £1.2 million in pre-seed funding for their industrial heat pump.
And the really big news here is who participated. Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners, CCEP, they're not just investing, they're actually going to pilot the system.
And that's the validation right there. CCEP's involvement shows this is moving beyond just R&D. The tech itself uses hydrocarbons with a novel isothermal compression,
which allows them to get to some pretty impressive numbers.
Oh, absolutely. They can generate low-temperature steam up to 120 degrees Celsius with a COP as high as 2.8.
A 2.8 COPS. So what does that mean in a commercial sense? Why is that number so important?
It's the tipping point. It really is. Most conventional systems are, hovering around a COP of 2.0. That jump to 2.8, that's what makes it truly competitive against cheap natural gas for the first time.
The design seems built for adoption, too. It's modular. You can stack them in half-megawatt increments.
And they're aiming for a 3 to 5 day installation time using ambient air as a source, just like a fossil fuel boiler.
That's fast.
It has to be. Heavy industry. They like proven single-source systems, so Hot Green needs that speed to overcome the incumbent bias.
Right. Okay, so from industrial, let's move over to commercial. We got an update from Metro Properties at Atmosphere Europe 2025.
And their commitment is, frankly, impressive. They're at 59% of all stores and depots globally now using natural refrigerants.
And in the EU, that number jumps to 73%.
And their F-gas exit program is really moving. They completed 49 projects just in fiscal year 2025.
They're literally making entire countries F-gas free in their portfolio.
Oh.
Moldova and Slovakia are done, and France is on deck for 2026.
And it's interesting to see how they adapt. In most places, they're using big CO2 systems. But in a market like Turkey, where CO2 equipment is 50% more expensive, they just pivot.
What did they use instead?
They've deployed about 14,000 R290 plug-in cases. It's just smart, flexible strategy. Plus, they mandate heat recovery now. Their Hamburg store is heated entirely by waste heat from the refrigeration system.
That's great. Okay, for our last story, let's look at a challenge that's really holding back the transition in the U.S., the technician shortage.
It's a huge constraint. We're talking an estimated gap of 110,000 technicians. Emrit Robbins, the CEO of Axiom Cloud, had a really interesting take on this.
A two-part solution, right?
Yeah. The first part is recruitment. A total rebrand. Stop calling it an HVAC&R job.
And call it what?
A sustainability technician. Frame it around climate impact, something that will attract a new mission-driven generation. It's not just about fixing leaks anymore.
I like that. And the second part is technology.
Right. Using AI-powered predictive maintenance. He described it as giving a new technician the diagnostic expertise of a 20-year veteran right on their tablet.
So it gets them productive on complex CO2 or ammonia systems in months, not years.
And that's the key, because the risk with these specialized systems is enormous. If a CO2 rack goes down, product loss can be six figures. Predictive maintenance prevents that failure in the first place, making the whole transition less risky for the end user.
This is AT&MO, and this has been the week in natural refrigerant news.